Come on. Come on.
Yes, YouTube, welcome back to another video. So as you can see in the title, this is my top 5 nutrition tips for fat loss after 9 years of coaching. So this is doing this and setting this up hundreds of times and doing this myself multiple times year after year at this stage as well. Of course, training is super important, and that is number one in my eyes in terms of that thing that I need to be that base there driving everything. But of course, nutrition is just as important. You could argue it's more important. You could always argue training's more important or nutrition's more important. Whatever way you want to go with that, the food's important. Without the food, it doesn't get done, and it's as simple as that. So let's dive in to these 5 tips. So number one, the way we like to set things up with all Coaching Coliseum clients is having at least 75% of those meals set to a T, right? Some clients will have 100% of those meals set. They'll have a full meal plan, 4 meals, 5 meals, whatever that is. All clients will at least have 75% of those meals set. So what every client will have is at least 75% of the meals set. Say we have 3 out of 4 meals that are going to stay the same. We then have macro targets for the day. We would have a macro target for the last meal where we're trying to stay within that range. That basically gives the client the option. Say we've got the last meal of the day. We know macros are in a great spot from the 3 meals that we're keeping the same, and we might want to rotate through sweet potato, rice, pasta, beef mince, chicken, and just have a little bit of flexibility within that. So what that then allows them to do is have the structure of that meal plan, because we've got the 3 days there, but it also allows a little bit of flexibility like we've got with just an if it fits your macros approach. If we have a complete if it fits your macros approach, you're just messing around with food too much throughout the day, and you can just get annoyed with that. And if you have a complete meal plan, you don't necessarily need to eat the exact same meals for 4 of them, but if we keep 3 of them the same, and then we can switch around that a little bit with number 4, then that's a nice place to be in terms of some variety. If calories are hit and macros are the same, that's a fantastic place to be. So to save yourself, oh, I need to fit this in. How many calories is this? What's that? Have 3 meals where you're keeping the same. I would always recommend it to be your first 3 meals. That's probably when you're busiest, right? For me, that's when I'm busiest. So meal 1, meal 2, meal 3, set them up to keep them the same and just drill them. Get organized with them, and then if you've got 1 meal there, don't get me wrong, we might have 1 meal that we just keep the same as well with that last meal. But if you do want a bit of flexibility, that's when we could chop and change a few bits. But just so you don't have to think, so you can just do, I'd get 75% of that set every day. You're gonna make them enjoyable, keep them the same, and that's all good. For me, that whole entire push-up, sourdough eggs in the morning, oats pre-workout, my beef and rice post-workout with my dark chocolate. Love those meals, kept them the same. Easy, don't need to think. So number 2, and I've put it number 2 because it links in with this, and this for me is my most important tip in terms of fat loss, and it comes more so with the mental side. It's having that structure of the meals so you can turn your food brain off. If you don't turn your food brain off, so for example, if we were just doing if it fits your macros, and we could fit this in and have this at this time, and meals aren't set, right? You don't have any time to turn the food brain off, because you can always fit this in, fit that in, have a little snack, have this, have that. I used to be so bad with craving food and hunger when I'd just get snacks and this low calorie snack and this and that. And it's because from start to finish, the food brain is just gone. Whereas if you have meal 1, which you can sit down and enjoy, and you know, right, I'm not eating now until meal 2. That's why I like them first 3 set. Meal 1, boom, right, okay, my food brain's turned off now. I can't eat. Doesn't matter if I'm hungry, that food brain's turned off. I know I've got a meal in 3 hours, it's not gonna be that bad. So you've got, right, let's say we have our meal 1, we push that back to 10 a.m., right? So we're like, right, sound, that's there. Food brain's turned off to 1, bang. Enjoy meal 2, food brain's turned off till 5, boom, we enjoy that, and then we've got that last meal at 8. So if you break it down into just 3-hour blocks where we have to go without food, where we might have a Pepsi Max, we might have a coffee, we might keep ourselves ticking over, but we're gonna stick to those meals, it's gonna be so much easier to turn that food brain off. So you don't then just think about food in that time, because I know, right, once I have meal 1, I am not eating anything else until meal 2, and I'm not eating anything else until meal 3. So have the structure there so you can turn that food brain off. If you are constantly just thinking about this and trying to fit this in and trying to make this little snack, trust me, get your meal set, stick to meals, avoid them snacks. All a snack does for me is make me want more food. I would much rather put that into a meal, make it more enjoyable, turn that food brain off, deal with that, enjoy that next meal. So number 3, and a massive one if you want a successful fat loss phase. And in terms of performance, this is the biggest one, right? Of course, there's loads of other things we need to be looking at, boys, in terms of setup. I've just given you my top 5. So keeping carbohydrates around training. When carbohydrates come down in a fat loss phase, typically with a client, of course, fats will come down, but protein will probably stay around the same and carbohydrates will come down. Now, what we need to do is keep carbohydrates around your training, right? Do not just bank all your carbs for the last meal, because your training's going to suffer and you're not going to look as good and you're going to lose muscle. Keep your carbohydrates around your training. Of course, you can spread some carbs throughout the other meals, especially when you've got more calories. But in the business end of things, really do your best to keep your carbs, especially pre-workout, because that carbohydrates converted into glycogen, that will make a massive difference with your performance. You will be able to hold on to your strength better, therefore retain tissue. You will just enjoy your sessions a lot more because you'll be able to still get a pump. You'll be able to still feel nice and full in the gym. Don't get me wrong, later on in the day, we might feel a little bit flat when carbs are lower, but if we can keep our carbohydrates around that training window, we're going to have a massive benefit in terms of performance. And we've got to remember that food is fuel at the end of the day, and the thing we're trying to fuel the most is that training. That will then give us the look that we are doing the whole diet phase for anyway. So whoever you are, whatever level, keep carbs around your training. So the next one is intermittent fasting, and it's pushing that meal 1 back. So for example, if you get up, when I get up at 5:30, right? I don't eat at 5:30. In any phase, I push that meal back till 9. So I will have my first meal at 9 and I'll have my last meal at 8 o'clock. So I know my eating window is what? 11 hours, right? For where I'm getting all of my meals in. So just by pushing that meal 1 back, it just allows you to have a little bit less time then in between each meal, which, like I said before, when you've got that structure and you can turn your food brain off, rather than waiting 5 hours in between each meal, it might just literally be 3 and string that together across 4 meals. So in terms of getting up in the morning, hydrating, like for me, I like to come in, hydrate, get a coffee, and have that time from 5:30 till 9 where I don't eat. You might want to push that back even further, and that's absolutely fine as well. For me, for when I train, I don't have time to do that because I need to eat twice before I train. But if I didn't do that, I might want to push that back till, I've done it in the past 10, 11, even 12. So there's no magic to that in terms of burning body fat. It just literally shortens that eating window. So if you're getting up and eating straight away at 6 and you're not training till later, just try pushing those meals back a little bit and see if that helps. And then again, have the meal set, you can turn that food brain off. And number 5, this is something from complete personal experience. Probably the thing that's helped me the most with my bad habits that I used to have, as well as turning that food brain off. And it's a big part of it as well. And it's avoiding too much sugar on your standard days. Of course, you don't ever have to not eat a donut again or anything like that, but avoiding sugar on those days to a certain extent. Remember, sugar is a drug, boys, right? You will literally crave it the more that you have. When you have constantly got sugar in, it can be very, very difficult then to avoid wanting those sweet things. I promise you now, because I've tidied up my diet so much over the past 4 or 5 years, I very rarely crave anything like donuts, sweets, cookies. I used to be terrible for that. That's why all through school, all through college, I was overweight and I'd just eat crap and I'd want that stuff all the time, right? I promise you, when you can actually keep your meals still enjoyable but clean, like my oats, I've got whey, I've got my oats, I've got my berries, I love that meal, right? I'm not craving more sugar after that, right? Same thing with my beef and rice meal and my hot sauce and my dark chocolate, right? Reason dark chocolate's fantastic, it's got less sugar there, the higher percentage that's going to be. So if you can just cut your sugar intake down across them standard days, I promise you, in terms of cravings, it will be a lot less, and that will massively, massively help. The longer I have done that, the less I crave that rubbish. Of course, I'd still eat a donut and think it's really nice, but I don't crave those things as much as I used to, because that used to hold me back massively. And that also comes with as well, obviously, Diet Coke over normal Coke. Sweet and sour, Uncle Ben's sauce. I get the low sugar one instead of the higher sugar one. Not only is that going to be better for what I've just spoke about, but it's going to be a lot less calories as well. So make sure we're not having stupid calories there. We're not having a coffee that's 200 calories. For me, my coffee, little bit of toffee, 0 cal flavor drops, bit of almond milk, boom. Whereas if I had 2 sugars in there or whatever from Starbucks or Costa, and then you're getting that sugar hitting, you're craving that, and that's 200 calories gone. From a calorie saving standpoint and from a standpoint of you sticking to that, it's going to help so much. So apply those things into your fat loss phase and you will 100% have a smoother diet phase. You will 100% be in a better position come the end of that. Any questions with any of those things, make sure you fire away in the comments below or give me a message over on IG absolutely anytime and I'll be back with you. Obviously, I am on prep now, boys, so there is a lot of content incoming, so make sure you are subbed because 2 vids are coming every single week. And if you do need more help with that in depth and you want to jump on a call and go through that, the link to coaching is always in the description and I look forward to having a good chat with you. I'll see you in the next video, boys. Peace.